Let's do some meal prep. Hi friends, thank you so much for joining me. This week I thought we would do a little bit more meal prep for the week. It's something that I used to do all the time when I worked outside of the home, when I was actually in an office. I used to bring my lunch, so I would meal prep the entire week and just bring my lunch. I would grab it out of the fridge every single morning and take it to work with me and reheat it. And I kind of got out of the habit of doing that once I started working from home. So for the last couple of years, I really haven't done much meal prepping. So I thought this week I would get back into that. It does make life so much easier because you already know what's for lunch. You have it already. You literally can just take it out and reheat it. So it's something I do enjoy doing, and I don't know why I ever stopped. So that's what we'll do today. First, I thought we'd get into my updated weight loss. I had a great week. I was surprised. I actually hurt my back a little bit this week, so I couldn't do much movement this week at all. It actually hurt to walk. It hurt to do everything. It's doing better now, but it was a rough week. So I didn't really expect to have that much of a weight loss, but I did still really focus on my calories and getting that water in, and I think that's kind of what saved me. So this week I should be able to kind of get back to walking some more and hopefully keep seeing that progress happen. So for the meal plan for this week, for breakfast, I'm going to do some overnight oats. For lunch, I'm going to make a taco soup with 2-ingredient dough, just little biscuits on the side. And then for snack, I'm going to do some rice cake avocado toast is kind of what I call it. It's not toasted at all, but I just don't really have a good name for it. It's something I've made for years and I absolutely love it. So I'm gonna actually show you all of that today. So hopefully this video isn't too long, but I feel like cooking, so I'm just gonna go with it. So let me show you everything that I've got set up here. I thought I'd start with my snack, which is taking one of these white cheddar rice cakes. These can be hard to find, fair warning. To me, it's that white cheddar plus the avocado that just makes it so good. So we're gonna take one of these. If you're really hungry, you can have two without doing too much damage. These are actually only 45 calories each. So actually, if you're looking also just for kind of like a cheesy kind of crunchy snack, just have one of these without anything on it. It's super good. So I'm gonna take an avocado. I've already rinsed this off. All of them in my grocery store were very mushy, so hopefully I'm not in for a bad surprise here. Avocados where I live are crazy expensive because I live up north, so they don't see. Yeah, he's already a little bit sad. They don't grow anywhere near here, so I paid $3 for one that I wind up cutting a lot of it away, but it's okay. I love them, so I deal with it. I'm jealous for those of you who live where we're closer to where they grow. But it's okay. We'll just cut out the bad spots and move on. And all I do is I'll just take my plate with whatever I'm putting it on, stick it on the scale. And in case you don't know, on your scale, you should have a button that says tare. And what that does is it resets you to 0. So let's say, let's just pretend I forgot to put my plate on there. And then I stuck my plate on there. I can actually just hit tare and it goes back to 0. So in case you didn't know that, that's how it works. That's 26. We'll go with a quarter of them. Okay, so 32 ounces. So when I'm tracking, oh, no, went down to 30. Sweet. So when I'm tracking this, I'm going to track 30 ounces. And also, just so you know, this is how I store my avocado. I just put it back together. So I leave the pin on the other side. I just plop them back together. And then I put a dry paper towel around it. And I put it in a Ziploc bag and back in the fridge. I've done this for years and it still can get a tiny bit brown, but it's way better than if you try any other method I've ever found. I know they do make those avocado savers. I don't have one of those. So that may or may not do better, but that's what I do. And shut him off. Incidentally, this scale, it's actually my son's, it's not even mine. And I absolutely love it. It has grams, pounds and ounces. So it does, different measurements, if you will. But it does a great job. It's very accurate. But he actually won it at one of our local kitchen stores, so it's actually quite expensive. But honestly, any scale will do. Just pop on Amazon and find one. And if you don't have one already, they're all very similar. So anything is better than trying to eyeball it, because I don't know about you, but I always underestimate if I try and eyeball something. All right, so we have 30 grams on here. And then I'm gonna take my favorite seasoning, everything but the bagel seasoning. I don't know what I did with my life before this came along, but I'm just gonna sprinkle that on. I do not measure this. I do track it, but because it does actually have some calories in it, it's 5 calories for a quarter teaspoon. I usually just put in that I used a half a teaspoon and call it good, but I don't actually measure it. And there you go. It is a delicious snack. It's satisfying. You get some good healthy fats in there, so it sticks with you. It's just one of my faves, so that's what I'm going to be doing this week. And if I'm super hungry, I'll have 2. You know, it's not that much. You know, I probably only do 40 grams, excuse me, of avocado between the 2. So I would do it a little bit thinner just to kind of, you know, we want to watch the calories. But yeah, it's a really great snack, and I've done it often. So 2-ingredient dough is kind of Weight Watchers' answer to bread in every form. So what it is, it's non-fat Greek yogurt and self-rising flour. Take a cup, and it's a cup and a cup of, you know, a cup of flour, a cup of the yogurt. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just kind of, you know, knock off the excess here. And then I'll come to my board and I will actually knock quite a bit of it out. You're actually going to wind up needing this. So if you were to take the 1 cup and 1 cup, mix them together, and then flour your board, you wind up with it can actually add up quite a bit more calories, and you're not really counting that. So this is a good way to still measure that. I'm going to use this really just as a bowl. I like the high sides when I do this, so that's why I use it. It's not really for measuring. So I'm going to dump that in there, and then I have just a little bit less than a cup of the yogurt ready. And the reason I do that is just because obviously for it to be equal parts, it needs to be a little bit less since I'm not using all the flour in the mixture. So I'll just scrape that out into there. And this dough is a little bit weird. It's very sticky. It can be finicky, but it works great and it's delicious. The other thing you can do is you can actually add some seasonings at this point. So if you're doing 2-ingredient dough that's going to be sweet, you can add sweetener, you can add cinnamon, you can add whatever you want. I'm going to add in just a little bit of garlic powder because this is going to be a savory little dough ball. Okay, so I have my garlic powder, and so I'm just going to do what looks good because that's how I cook. Probably about half a teaspoon, something like that. Probably about a half teaspoon. And I'm just going to mix that together. And you have to get it all over your counter or you're not cooking. So make sure you splash a little like I always do. And this dough is weird because like at first it looks too dry and then it looks too wet and then it's sticky and then it's a weird dough. So just be patient. It comes together, I promise. And this dough can be used for so many things. People use it for pizza crust. Again, you can use it, you know, for, you know, kind of biscuits, which is what I'm doing. I told you about in my first or second video, I don't remember now, about my daughter making me cinnamon rolls with it in that one. But this is what the dough is. And it's a really versatile, see, it just came together. It's a weird dough, but it's just very versatile. I don't mind working with it. You just, again, have to be a little bit patient with it. And if you have to use a little extra flour, it's okay. It does happen, but I try not to. I try and get my ratios good to start with. Okay. Now the fun part. I'm going to take some of the flour, just sort of sprinkle it on top because it's very sticky right now. And I'm just going to kind of roll it around so it's less sticky on my hands because I will wind up with half of it on my hands. And you're just going to knead it just like you would any dough. So just pushing it, folding over, push it away. And you'll know when it's done because it just it starts to feel a little different. It starts to feel more incorporated. And I know that's kind of a weird way to say, you know, when it feels right. But you'll notice a difference. It'll get smoother. It'll just start behaving better. And that's when you stop because, you know, you can't overwork a dough too. So, yeah, it's already almost done. So just, you know, a minute or so of kneading is all it needs. No pun intended. All right, so once it kind of starting to come together, it's, you know, acting better. I'm still going to keep a little bit of flour underneath it because it's still pretty sticky. All right, and then I grab my pastry cutter and cut it about in half. about in half, and about in half. So I'm gonna have 8 pieces when I'm done. If you are making bagels out of this, which is where the 2-ingredient dough actually started from, he's a little small and he's a little big, so he's gonna share. You would actually just do it in quarters typically. So that's what you would use for a bagel. And maybe someday I'll show that too, because I do really like those too. But when I'm just doing a biscuit to go with the soup, I think this is enough. And if I want to have 2, I can have 2, but typically this will be enough. So all I'm going to do is, these little raw edges are super sticky, so I'm just going to kind of roll them in what flour I have left. And I'm just going to kind of tuck it under itself until it makes a little blob of dough. That's really all I want. I just want a little blob instead of a triangle. That's all I'm after. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna brush them all with a little tiny bit of water. You can actually use an egg wash if you want to. It actually makes them a little bit more golden if you do that. But I just feel like it's calories I don't need to add. It's fine just the way it is. So all I'm doing is, honestly, I'm making the tops sticky after all that work of making them not be sticky. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of, you guessed it, everything but the bagel seasoning onto the top. And then I'm gonna pop them into my air fryer. And I'm going to turn my air fryer on. It's really loud, so I'm going to do that off camera. But I'm going to turn it on to 375, let it warm up for 2 minutes. And then I'm going to do them 4 at a time, because that's about what fits in the basket, so that they're not touching. I don't like it when they're touching and they get all stuck together. So I'm going to do them 4 at a time. And I'm going to put them in there for 5 minutes and pull them out, do the other 4, and let them all cool, and then get them in a Ziploc bag into the fridge for my week. So, really, really delicious, super easy, and it feels like you're getting this bready treat for lunch. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these cooked up, and then I'll show you what they look like when they come out. Those are out of the air fryer, and this is what they look like. Nice and golden and delicious. I'll go ahead and cut into one of them for you. I'm probably not gonna eat it right now, but that's okay. We'll just rip this little guy here. So you can see it becomes just like a, regular muffin really, or a regular biscuit really. But yeah, that's what they look like. They're quite good. I like them. So far we have our snack and part of our luncheon. Jump to breakfast. What I want to do is overnight oats using this cinnamon roll Premier Protein. It's again 160 calories, just like the caramel one that I put in my morning coffee. But this one I'm just going to use half a bottle in each. A little bit higher calorie breakfast because a half a cup of oatmeal, and I use old-fashioned oats. And a half a cup is 150 calories. But my soup is actually going to be pretty low calorie, so I should even out just fine. So I'm literally just going to dump a half a cup of this in. This is so easy. I don't know why I don't do it more often. I had a couple different ideas of kind of add-ins for it. I thought about microwaving little chunks of apples to put on top with a little bit of cinnamon. That would be really good. And I do have apples over there. I think you can see that in this shot. But I actually have this apple pie filling in the cupboard. And so I thought, what the heck, that would actually be really good. Far less good for you, so fair warning. But this one, for a third of a cup or 89 grams, it's 100 calories. So what I thought I'd do is, if I just cut that basically in half, do 45 grams or 44 grams, it'll be 50 calories. So that's a lot more reasonable, I feel like. But I actually don't even know what that's gonna look like. That could still be too much of a serving. I don't know yet. So I'm gonna actually look at that and see what it looks like, see if it looks reasonable or not. But this can was gonna expire in May of this year. So I try and kind of keep an eye on what I've got in the cupboard and make sure I don't let things go bad, because at the end of the day, I'm actually quite frugal and I really hate wasting food. So I do try and pay attention to kind of expiration dates in my cupboard. Again, this is not going to be the healthiest thing you could put on the top, but I'm not putting that much. And it's going to be it's going to be like having apple pie for breakfast. So it'll be good. Okay, so that's 48. Okay, so 45 is going to be, I think, perfect. I'm actually going to stir those real quick. You don't have to, but I think it'll actually soak in a little. Yeah, you needed it a little bit. It'll soak in a little bit better. And you notice it looks like there's a lot of liquid in here, but by the time it soaks in overnight, thus overnight oats, it'll actually be, you know, more like regular oatmeal. And this you can eat cold or you can warm it up and eat it warm. So whichever you prefer. I actually like it both ways. I don't really have a big preference one way or the other. So I'm just going to top it with this. And these mason jars I've had for years. They were Pioneer Woman, I think, based on the lid. That's what I'm guessing. And then with the rest of that pie filling, what I'm kind of thinking I might do, I have some wonton wrappers in there. And the air fryer is already out. So what I could do is I could take the little wonton wrappers, put just a little bit of the apple pie filling in the middle, seal it up with water and air fry them. And that would be a yummy dessert too to have on hand. All I need to do is stick the lids on these and stick them in the fridge overnight. And those will be yummy breakfast ready to go. Super, super easy. I shared with you guys my issues cutting onions. So here we go again. There's onions in this one too. So what I'm going to use is my food chopper. And if you haven't seen one of these, they're fantastic. Picked it up at Amazon. Hopefully they still have them. They have these interchangeable little grates that you pop in. And literally you put your food down here and chop, and you'll see it in action, because it makes it so I can do this faster. I'm going to open the garbage here too so I can toss stuff right in. I already used half of this onion, so it's already starting to affect me, so I'm going to hurry up and get this going. It also helps to have a very sharp knife. This knife is amazing. I love it. By the way, it also belongs to my son. He has better kitchen gadgets than I do. But here we go, and I'm crying already. Okay, I'm going to try very hard not to have issues on this video. Okay, so all we do is we pop it in here. Boom, goes through, and it's chopped. It makes it so nice, so much faster. I will still have, my eyes will still start burning here any second. They're starting already. But it's just so much faster, so much easier, and then boom, it's done, and I can just rinse everything and I'm done. So you can see the size chunks it makes with this blade, which is really, really nice. I'm going to go ahead and get these over in the pot. I'm just going to spray just a little bit of nonstick spray and get these in the pot on medium and get them starting to soften while I cut some other vegetables. And I'm going to wash my hands. Okay, I went ahead and rinsed off the knife, so now my eyes can start calming down. They are already all red. So I just have the zucchini in there, so I'm going to pop this in there too. Truly, this actually isn't part of, you know, any recipe, but I tend to just throw whatever veggies I have into whatever soup I'm making, because it isn't going to change the flavor very much, honestly. But for me, any little place I can sneak in some more vegetables is good. So that's why I like to do it. So push these through. Just make such quick work of this. Boom, done. All right, so I'm gonna let the onions get a little bit of a head start, and then I will pop in these. And then I'm also gonna grab some minced garlic, hold up, I actually have garlic. I'm gonna pop it in here. I completely forgot. My mom's friend gave her some homegrown garlic. So I am going to rip into this and get some of these going. There is nothing better than when you can get homegrown. So good. I know my cousin grows garlic too, and I've never actually tried it. I know it's in the fall that you have to plant it, so too late for this year. But yeah, I've always wanted to try it because I love garlic so much. I think that'll probably be enough. I really, really like garlic, so if you don't like as much garlic, you know, don't use as much as I do. I'm gonna go ahead and push these through and actually keep them even that size. It's fairly big for garlic, but it's gonna be, you know, in that soup for so long, it's gonna soften and really mellow out anyway. So let me go check on the onions and I'll move you over to the stove. I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these veggies in there. I actually have leftover taco meat. So if you don't, what you'll want to do is go ahead and get your onions started and then put the raw meat in. Cook the meat until it's, you know, cooked all the way through. It doesn't have to be overly brown, but at least cook through. And then go ahead and add in your other veggies so the meat can get even browner. And that way the veggies have a chance to soften too. But because I already had leftover taco meat, this is a perfect use for it. It's actually what made me think of it. So I'm just going to kind of soften these veggies just a tiny bit before I add in my meat to just basically warm through is all it's going to do. So I have, this is already ground beef with taco seasoning in it. So it's just the, you know, the taco packet cooked in just per package directions. That's all it is. I probably have about half a pound of meat here. I would recommend doing a whole pound if I was actually doing this with raw, but I'm just going to use what I have just because I have it. The other stuff that you're going to need, and this is again, like any soup, you can pretty much put whatever you want in it, but I'm going to do these petite diced tomatoes with green chilies. It's knockoff rotel is what it is. These are low sodium black beans and 50% less sodium, or another way of saying low sodium, whole kernel sweet corn. I like doing low sodium because I don't tend to cook with a whole lot of salt, and there's already a lot of salt in these packets. So I tend to just buy low sodium whenever I can, unless the regular is on a screaming sale, then I'll do that because I'm cheap. But I do try and get low sodium when I can, just to kind of, you know, keep our salt in check. Let me get these softening a little bit more, and then I'm going to go ahead and drain the black beans. I'm going to drain and rinse them. That's why I have my colander out here. I don't like the aquafaba or whatever the juice that comes in the can is. I know you can do a lot of stuff with them, and I really haven't gotten that adventurous with that. I know I probably should. That might be something I would actually enjoy. But for right now, I tend to always rinse and drain them. So the other thing I have here is this Better Than bouillon. It's just any kind of, you know, beef stock is what I need. So I'm going to use this. I just mix it in with about 2 cups of water, so it dissolves a little bit. It'll actually dissolve a lot more in the soup itself. For 1 teaspoon, it is 15 calories, so you do want to be careful that you're not, you know, using a giant clump of it. It's a little hard to measure. You could do it by weight easier. So if you weighed this and then took some out and saw what the negative was, that's the easiest way to actually measure this. I tend to eyeball it, honestly, but I am really careful not to use too much just because of, you know, that calorie count in it. So, and it's pretty strong. You don't actually need too much. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dump my meat in. If you have leftover meat, it's a great use for it. And stir that in. And then I'm just going to start dumping. So I have my drained and rinsed beans, my drained can of corn, and my knockoff rotel with the juice. So that one I do keep the juice on. You could also add, if your family likes tomatoes, mine doesn't love tomatoes. So if your family likes tomatoes and you're making this for your family, you could add, you know, some more either fresh tomatoes would be amazing, or canned tomatoes. You could also do some extra, you know, jalapenos for a little more kick if you guys like spice. If you hate spice, don't use this, just use tomatoes instead. So it's, you know, like all soups, you can pretty much just do whatever you like. Look at that color though, isn't that pretty? Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Now I'm just going to add in my bouillon, if I can get it open. There we go. Look, it's almost gone already. I might actually use what's left. Yeah, so I don't even have quite a tablespoon here, but that's what I'm going to count it as a tablespoon. Oh, hopefully I have another one in the cabinet. I'm sure I do because it's me. I tend to always have extras of everything. And then I actually have this open packet of taco seasoning. I don't even remember why it's open. Could have been from that meat, who knows. I'm just gonna dump it in because I have it and it was open. So I just like to use stuff up so it gets used. Do not like wasting food. And then, so I'm gonna try and get this broken up a little bit, but like I said, it will dissolve the rest of the way in the soup, so I'm not overly worried about it dissolving all the way. I just kind of want to get it off the spoon. And then if this is not enough liquid, which I don't think it will be, I'm just gonna add a little more water to it, just to bring it up just a tiny bit higher. And this is kind of how I make all my soups. Everything's just sort of, I eyeball it and then make decisions as I go based on what I have and what I feel like. And I'm someone, I like my soups bordering on the stew line. Like I don't like them super liquidy. If you do like them more liquidy, add more liquid. That's totally fine. But this is kind of how I like it, where it doesn't feel like a stew necessarily, but it's still, you know, you get a decent amount of chunks too. It's kind of a gross way of saying that, but you know what I mean. All right, so I'm just gonna let this, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. I'm gonna cover it and I'm gonna let it simmer together for about 30 minutes because I really want the rest of the vegetables to soften a little bit more. I got a nice little char on them, but I want it to soften the rest of the way. And I really wanna give those flavors a chance to meld together. Then at that point, I'm gonna taste it and see if I need any salt, pepper, you know, just if anything's missing. So to serve this, I will do probably 1 cup servings and I will take just a couple of chips and break them up on the top. It's enough to give you that little bit of crunch and a little extra salt, but you don't need to have, you know, a whole bunch of chips. And then I will probably do just a little dollop of the non-fat Greek yogurt. I usually use that as a sour cream substitute, but you could also do sour cream if you like. And I will definitely put a little bit of avocado on the top, not just because my avocado is terribly soft and going to be bad in about an hour, but I just love the flavor. Those two flavors to me, you know, kind of the hot and cool, just is so good together. So that's how I will serve it, and then I will have 1 or 2 of those, you know, little biscuits that we just made. So that's how I'm going to serve this up all week for lunch. So this one I'm actually not making for my family. I will probably wind up eating all of this over this next week. What I will do though is I will portion out one of them and show you kind of how I used to food prep or meal prep for lunches when I didn't, you know, when I had to leave the house. I'll show you what that looks like. I will take about half of it and put it in the freezer, and then the other half I'll eat on the first few days, and then I can pull the other one out of the freezer and then continue on, because I just, you know, again, I hate wasting food and I don't want anything to go bad. So I will freeze part of it. This soup does freeze well too, so it's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to let that simmer, and we'll kind of head back over and we'll go ahead and make those desserts because I talked about them. Let's do them. So this is a lot of cooking in one video. So to those of you who have bared with me this long, thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying. So I have these wonton wrappers. They're actually left over from something else I had made. And I'll actually make that for you guys at some point. It's really good, like snacky food to take to other people's houses. But I know I'm going to make them on Super Bowl. So I was thinking about doing kind of a Super Bowl snack food video. So let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd like to see. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one of these wontons. And I did flip over my cutting board because I did garlic on it, and that is just not going to come out, so I just flipped it over. And then incidentally, in case you don't know this trick, I always set my cutting board down on a wet paper towel because it keeps it from sliding around quite as much. My paper towel is actually drying out, so it's not going to work as well now. But I don't remember where I learned that tip, but man, it is an excellent tip. It works really, really well. Okay, so we're going to go back to our 44 to 45 grams of, this is that same pie filling. I just was getting it ready to go in the fridge. And now we're making desserts instead. So do the same thing I did before and be all finicky about it. And I'm just gonna put this, hopefully it all fits. I may have to do a little less filling, we'll see. I'm just gonna chop it a little bit here in the bowl first, and I'm gonna try and get it right in the middle. I've done something similar to this before, but not exactly this. So I'm kind of experimenting with you too. Oh, that is a lot of filling. We're gonna have to see if that works out. So I'm just gonna take, this is just water again, and I'm just gonna wet all 4 sides of my wonton. And the water will get really gross because they're covered in cornstarch if you've never worked with them before. So that's what the white stuff is that's on them. All right, so I'm gonna try, this is not gonna work that way, so we're not doing that. Instead, we're gonna do ravioli style. We're gonna do this as a topper instead. What I was gonna do is bring up all 4 sides, but instead, we're just gonna do this. And that's perfectly fine. I just wanna kind of seal the edges as much as I can just to try and keep that filling inside in the air fryer. I'm going to go ahead and wet the top on this one. I'm gonna need to have a paper towel handy to keep wiping off my hands. I also grabbed a spoon. What I have in this little bowl is this monk fruit sweetener. It is 0 calories for 1 teaspoon, which we won't even be using a full teaspoon in it. And all I'm gonna do is just sort of sprinkle it on the top, just to give it a little something extra. Why not? And then we'll go ahead and repeat the process on this one. And I'm gonna go ahead and air fry just these 2 and just make sure it works. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and warm up my air fryer. I don't know what to cook these on, so I'm gonna cook them at 350 because that's what I do in my oven. When I don't know what to do, I do 350. So this is pretty loud. I'll go ahead and turn it on, but I will probably go ahead and pause the video. You know, once we see how loud it is, it's pretty loud. And again, I let that warm up for 2 minutes before I put anything in it. I find it works so much better. Incidentally, if you don't have an air fryer, feel free to use the oven. It's, you know, it's the only thing it is, it's a mini convection oven. That's all an air fryer is. So if you have an oven, by all means, bake away. It's fine. You don't have to have it. It's a fun little gadget. I do love mine, but it's not necessary. So I'm gonna let that warm up and I'm gonna pop them in there. I'm probably gonna start with maybe 3 minutes and then check it because I truly have no idea how long I need to cook them for. So I'll be right back and let you know. Okay, I just pulled those out of the air fryer. They are very hot. Do not touch. That took 6 minutes to get just a little bit golden. He kind of had a little bit of an owie, but it's fine. What I'm gonna try next is to do half of the filling. So each of these has 22 grams of the filling in them, and then try making them that way and just kind of see which we like better. In case you've never done wontons before, again, I just wet the outside with a little bit of water. And all I'm gonna do is fold the first 2 sides in, fold the second 2 sides in, and that's it. That water actually makes it stick together. And again, I'm just gonna kind of water over the top of them just a tiny bit. You don't wanna saturate them, you're just getting them wet so that the monk fruit sweetener will stick. And that's just giving it a little extra sweetness. Not that the pie filling isn't sweet enough, but there we go. I'm gonna do that last one and I'll probably just cook maybe 4 to 6 at a time. Okay guys, those, I just did 6 little ones and those also took 6 minutes. So no matter which way you go, if you do the big ones or the little ones, it took 6 minutes at 350 to be nice and golden brown. So I thought I'd kind of go over, since I basically meal prepped my entire week pretty much except for dinner. Incidentally, it's kind of fun. This is a nice time lapse. You can watch my avocado turn brown. That was kind of making me laugh. All of that together still leaves me about 400 to 500 calories for dinner, which is what I like to have. I usually have about 100 calories of vegetables and then 300 to 400 calories of whatever it is my family's having. Or you could reserve about 150 calories, have a glass of wine, some vegetables, and just a little smaller portion of whatever the family's having for dinner, and have a lovely day. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you. I know it was kind of a long video, so those of you who have hung to the end, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I won't do this weekly by any means, not to this extent, but I do plan on still showing you kind of some recipes as we go along. And this helped me because now I am meal prepped for the week. Anyway, I hope you're having a fabulous day. Thank you again for joining me. Be sure to like this video, click subscribe, and click the bell for notifications so that YouTube lets you know every time I upload a video. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm if you click like on videos. It makes it so that YouTube will actually share the video with more people. So hopefully we can grow the family and help more and more people. So I hope you have a really successful week. Thank you again for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye. And what I want to do, I have this cinnamon roll. You can hear my dog. You're gonna wind up. Let's try that again.